Hey everyone, and welcome back to English 10 Minutes. Today, we've got something a little different, a little special. We're diving into the world of feelings, friendships, and those moments that are, well, almost something. Get ready for a short story that will hopefully touch your heart and maybe even make you think. It's called Almost Something. Let's get into it. Almost Something. The late August air always felt like a secret whispered between summer and fall, and tonight it carried the scent of popcorn and distant music from the town's end of summer carnival. Maya hummed along to a song stuck in her head, a tune from the playlist Liam had made for her birthday. Liam. He was walking beside her now, his silhouette tall and familiar against the orange glow of the sunset. They'd been best friends since third grade, when he'd shared his fruit snacks with her after she'd dropped hers in the sandbox. Now they were starting their junior year and things felt different. Or maybe she felt different. The comfortable silence between them used to be just that, comfortable. Lately, though, it felt charged, like the air before a thunderstorm, full of unspoken words and a nervous energy that Maya traced back to the fluttery feeling in her own chest whenever Liam's hand brushed hers as they walked. Or when he'd look at her with that focused gaze, like she was the only person in the noisy, crowded midway. Tonight he'd won a giant, fluffy blue dog at the ring toss, a ridiculous thing with floppy ears and button eyes. He'd immediately handed it to her. "For your collection of weirdly large stuffed animals," he'd said, his grin wide and genuine. Maya hugged the dog, its synthetic fur soft against her cheek. It smelled faintly of him, a mix of a light, woodsy cologne and something uniquely Liam. "Thanks," she'd managed, her voice a little breathier than she intended. He just bumped her shoulder with his, a gesture so casual, so them, yet it sent a tiny jolt through her. She wondered if he felt it too, this invisible string that seemed to pull them closer, even when they were just walking, just talking about nothing and everything. The lights of the Ferris wheel blinked ahead, painting streaks of color on their faces. "Want to go on?" he asked, his voice easy. Maya nodded, her heart doing a little flip. High above the town, maybe she'd find the courage to say something, or maybe the unspoken would finally have its moment. The line for the Ferris wheel was long, a slow-moving river of families and chattering teenagers. Liam, ever impatient, started pointing out people they knew, making up silly backstories for strangers, and Maya laughed, the familiar ease settling back between them, chasing away some of the nervous tension. That was the thing about Liam. He could make anything fun, anything feel normal even when Maya's insides were a tangle of hope and fear. She found herself watching him more than usual tonight, the way his dark hair fell over his forehead, the crinkles that appeared at the corners of his eyes when he really smiled, the way he gestured with his hands when he was excited about something. He was talking about his plans for the school's robotics club, his voice animated, and Maya listened, but part of her mind was elsewhere, replaying small moments from their friendship like scenes from a movie. The time he'd waited with her for 3 hours in the emergency room when she sprained her ankle, even though he had a big game the next day. The way he always knew when something was wrong, even if she insisted she was fine. These weren't grand romantic gestures, but small, steady acts of kindness and understanding that had built the foundation of their friendship, a foundation Maya was now terrified of cracking. What if she said something and it changed everything for the worse? What if this comfortable, precious thing they had shattered because she wanted more? The thought was a cold knot in her stomach. "You okay?" Liam asked, his head tilted, his gaze searching hers. He'd stopped talking about robots and was looking at her with that concerned expression she knew so well. "You look a million miles away." Maya forced a smile. "Yeah, just thinking. About school starting, you know." It was a weak excuse, and she knew he probably didn't buy it, but he let it go, turning his attention back to the slow progress of the line. The air was getting cooler, and she shivered slightly. Without a word, Liam shrugged off his denim jacket and draped it over her shoulders. It was warm from his body, and the familiar scent of him enveloped her again more strongly this time. "Better?" he asked softly. She nodded, pulling the jacket tighter, her fingers brushing the worn denim. "Much better." The warmth wasn't just from the jacket, it was from him, from this simple, caring act that felt like so much more. Finally, it was their turn. They settled into the gently swaying carriage of the Ferris wheel, the attendant latching the safety bar. The blue plush dog sat between them, a fluffy, silent chaperone. As the wheel began its slow ascent, the sounds of the carnival faded below, replaced by the creak of the machinery and the soft rush of the evening wind. The town spread out beneath them, a glittering tapestry of lights. Maya had always loved Ferris wheels, that feeling of being suspended between the earth and the sky, of seeing the world from a different perspective. Tonight, though, her focus was entirely on the boy sitting beside her. He was quiet now, looking out at the view, his profile outlined against the darkening sky. The carnival lights cast fleeting shadows across his face, highlighting the curve of his jaw, the length of his eyelashes. This was it, she thought, the perfect moment. The world was hushed. They were alone, cocooned in their little carriage high above everything. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat. "Liam," she began, her voice barely a whisper. He turned to her, his eyes dark and unreadable in the dim light. "Yeah?" There was an openness in his expression, a waiting. She could see the reflection of the distant lights in his pupils. This was her chance, to tell him how his smile could make her whole day brighter, how his laughter was her favorite sound, how the thought of not having him by her side was unbearable, how this friendship had slowly, surely, blossomed into something deeper, something that made her chest ache with a sweet, terrifying hope. She opened her mouth, the words right there, perched on the tip of her tongue. But then his phone buzzed in his pocket, a sudden, sharp sound that broke the spell. He pulled it out, his brow furrowing slightly as he looked at the screen. "Oh man," he said, a note of apology in his voice. "It's my mom. I was supposed to check in, and Sarah texted she needs the chemistry notes before tomorrow." Sarah. The name hung in the air between them, heavier than the unspoken words just moments before. Sarah was new to their group, a friendly, smart girl from Liam's chemistry class. Maya had seen them studying together in the library, seen the easy way they laughed. A little pang, sharp and unwelcome, pricked at Maya's heart. Liam was already texting back, his attention diverted. The moment, so fragile and full of possibility, had fractured, dissolved into the ordinary. The Ferris wheel reached its peak, pausing for a moment, offering them the most breathtaking view of the night, but Maya barely saw it. All she saw was the slight distance that had opened up between them, the casual way Liam had mentioned another girl. It wasn't his fault, of course. He didn't know what she'd been about to say, didn't know the significance the moment had held for her. He was just being Liam. The wheel began its descent, bringing them slowly back down to the noise and lights of the carnival, back to reality. When they stepped off the ride, the magic of the ascent had completely vanished. Liam was still talking about his mom's message, about needing to get home soon. He walked her to her doorstep, the blue dog still tucked under her arm. "I had a really great time tonight, May," he said, his smile genuine. But to Maya it felt different now, less charged, more friendly. Just friendly. "Me too," she said, trying to keep her voice light. He gave her a quick one-armed hug, the kind he always gave her. "See you at school?" "Definitely," she replied. He waved, then turned and jogged down her driveway, disappearing into the darkness. Maya stood there for a long moment, the cool night air seeping into the denim jacket that still smelled faintly of him. She walked inside, the house quiet and empty. Her parents were out. She went up to her room and placed the giant blue dog on her bed, where it stared at her with its blank button eyes. It was a souvenir from a night that had felt like it could be something, but had ended up being almost. She slipped off Liam's jacket, folding it carefully, and laid it on her desk chair. Maybe almost was all they were ever meant to be. Maybe she'd misread all the signs, all the comfortable silences and shared glances. Or maybe almost was just a painful stopping point on the way to never. The thought brought a fresh wave of sadness, a quiet ache in her chest. She looked at the jacket, then at the dog. They were tangible reminders of him, of their closeness, but also of the invisible wall she hadn't been able to break through. Or perhaps a wall she'd only imagined him wanting to break through with her. Perhaps, she thought, some of the most important moments in life weren't the big, dramatic ones, but the quiet, unspoken almosts that taught you what your heart truly wanted, even if it couldn't have it. She picked up her phone, a new resolve hardening within the sadness. She wouldn't let this almost define her, or break their friendship. It would hurt for a while, but Liam was too important to lose, even if it meant loving him silently, as a friend. Sometimes almost is a kind of something all on its own, and that was almost something. Wow, so many emotions in there, right? Sometimes things don't turn out exactly how we hope, but there's always something to learn, something to feel. What did you think? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Until then, keep learning, keep dreaming, and we'll see you next time on English 10 Minutes.